Too bad Canada is cold.
Now we're live.
Welcome to Garden of the Spirit, a class studying apples from the orchard. This class meets in Long Meadow, Massachusetts, and is held in memory of Malka Ruth Bas Moshe. Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. How many years, Rudy?
3 years.
3 years.
Thursday.
3 years. Knowledge Shvat this week.
Thursday.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Okay. Apples from the Orchard contains selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal. Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. Okay, we're on page 1018 in the old edition. Parshas Vayelech, the second chapter. Second lesson. The Song of the Torah. Excuse me. So the next parsha, and which is also the next to last parsha of the Torah, Hazinu, is a song, chapter 32 of Devarim. It is a song that Moshe tells the people, teaches the people. Being a song and poetry, the language is much more difficult, cryptic, than most of the Torah, and he tells them that when they're in trouble, when bad things are happening, they should memorize the song, they should learn the song, study the song, and it will help them understand what's going on and how to get back on the right path. Basically, the song says that Hashem did us great favors in leaving Egypt. The people took Hashem's help for granted. And then they provoked Hashem, and then all kinds of crazy things started happening because they took Hashem for granted. Life was good and easy, and so they forgot about hardships. And all kinds of wacky things happen. And then Hashem says that there will be revenge, godly revenge, against the nations that persecute them. That, in a nutshell, is the song. Okay? Okay, 1018 at the bottom. Go ahead, Alan.
The Song of the Torah. And now, write for yourselves this song and teach it to the Israelites. Put it in their mouths in order that this song remain a witness for the Israelites. According to the basic meaning of this verse, the song it refers to is the poem, Give Ear, O Heavens, that constitutes the greater part of the following parsha. However, the sages also understand it as referring to the Torah as a whole, and from this verse is derived the commandment incumbent upon each individual to write a Torah scroll.
1019 at the top.
Know that it is necessary to have in mind that the 5 books of Moses correspond to the 5 Partsufim. The book of Genesis, Bereshis, corresponds to the upper thorn of the Yud of the name Havaya, and the Partsuf are a Chanpin. The book of Shemos corresponds to the Yud itself and Abba. The book of Vayikra corresponds to the first Hay and Ima. The sacrifices whose laws are detailed in this book come to rectify and sweeten the states of divine judgment that originate in this Partsuf. The book of Devarim correspond to the Vav, the supernal number of Israelites. Presumably this refers to the fact that the numerical value of the letter Vav is 6, and there are 600,000 archetypical souls of Israel. The book of Numbers contains a number of censuses of the peoples as whole, the army, the Levites, etc., etc., etc.
Hold on. Contains a number of censuses of the people as whole? Or supposed to be as a whole?
As a whole.
It should be. Should be an article.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
The book of Devarim, known as the repetition of the Torah, recapitulates and includes everything that was in the preceding books and corresponds to the final Hay and Nukva. To summarize, Bereshis has the upper throne of Yud, Arachanpin. Shemos is the Yud, Abba. Vayikra, the Hay and Ima. Bamidbar, Vav, Zeranpin, and Devarim is the Hay and Nukva. Following is an alternate system of correspondences encompassing the entire Bible as distributed over the two partsufim of Zer Anpin and Nukva. It should be kept in mind that in the traditional reckoning, 1st and 2nd Shmuel are considered one book and are as the 1st and 2nd Kings, Malachim, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, and the books of Ezra and Nehemiah. Nonetheless, in one instance, as we shall see, the Arizal does consider 1st and 2nd Malachim separately.
In the Jewish count, there are 24 books of the Tanakh.
That's Tanakh, yeah.
So that, and how do you count 24? Ezra and Nehemiah are one. The Shmuels are one. Malachim are one.
Okay.
And Chronicles, both Chronicles are one. It's like 65 chapters, 65, 70 chapters. Okay, 1020.
Tiferes, that is their Anpin, includes the 5 books of Moshe, and its 2 arms comprise its 5 states of Chesed and 5 states of Gevurah as follows. Yoshua, the Judges, Shmuel correspond to Chesed, Gevurah, and Tiferes. 1st and 2nd Malachim correspond to Netzach and Hod. Thus we have the 5 states of Chesed. Yeshaya, Yirmiyahu, and Ezekiel correspond to Chesed, Gevurah, and Tiferes. The 12 minor prophets correspond to Netzach and Hod, this being the mystical meaning of the verse. His legs are pillars of marble, shesh. Thus,
Sheish means marble, and it also means 6.
Thus we have the 5 states of Gevurah. The Hebrew for marble, shesh, also means 6. The legs correspond to Netzach and Hod, each one being 6. The 2 together are 12, corresponding to the 12 minor prophets. The books of Yoshua, Judges, Shmuel, Malachim manifest Chesed because they describe the Jewish people more or less in their heyday, focusing on their development as a people and the conquests of just their kings. Shouldn't be their kings, just their kings. Extra the.
The thes should not be there.
The the should not be there. The
The
prophetic.
second, the before the word there, the conquest is okay, but
Yeah,
then the other.
of their kings.
Yeah,
is
that
yeah,
second the is
yeah.
no good.
The prophetic books, on the other hand, focus on the spiritual lapses and descent of the people, which resulted eventually in the destruction of the temple and the exile.
The prophetic books, Chai, Ishai, Yirmiyah, and Cheskel are generally or overall, they're
Apocalyptic.
apocalyptical.
Okay.
Apaka.
Apocalyptic.
Apocalyptical.
Apocalyptical.
Like an apocalypse.
Pack of lipsticks?
Yes.
Apocalyptic.
They're
Different colors, too.
apocalyptic.
Yep.
Have another cup.
Anyone know-
Have another cup of.
Do you know a good dentist?
Have some more tea. Yeah, I'll call Dan up. Yeah. He'll
The
straighten up.
and those are the 3 books, especially those 3. They are some of the minor prophets also have this very, very stark, very graphic about what will happen. Some of the metaphors there are nasty, like really serious stuff. And not just directed towards the Jewish people, but towards the other nations that are around, towards Egypt, towards Bavel, towards Assyria. Very strong terms about what's going to happen. We have to remember.
I hear
You have to remember.
feminine
female.
voices.
What?
I hear women.
Yeah. That these are. Oh, but you also have to keep in mind that these weren't the only voices at the time. These weren't the only prophetic words. There were many people claiming to be speaking in the name of God
And hearing voices.
and hearing voice. What do they say? Say, buy Apple. Okay. What? 309. Okay. Many people who were claiming to speak in the name of God, and most probably the people. I'm going to say that the true prophets did not stand out necessarily as being more righteous. So they looked at Yeshaya. It could very well be that they looked at Yeshaya or at Yirmiyah and that any other prophet and didn't say, well, it's very obvious. Here you have a holy rabbi who's wearing a talis all day in tefillin, sits in shul, prays, and is obviously a godly person. And this other shmegegi is a guy, who's running around, visits MGM a few times a month, and is fooling around, and he's a prophet, and I don't know who to listen to. My idea is, my understanding, chances are that these false prophets were also following some sort of help me out, hermetic life, or what's the word?
Esoteric?
Aesthetic.
Aesthetic?
Aesthetic.
Aesthetic,
Aesthetic.
Some type of aesthetic life for these other people also, that they could pass as people who spoke in Hashem's name.
So they believe themselves to be prophets.
Not necessarily. But they're part of their, maybe they did, but part of their game. If not, then part of their game was to act like a holy person.
As if they were a prophet.
And yes. So I'm saying they weren't guys necessarily who were.
They just passed out the Kool-Aid.
I'm
They
thinking
see all this.
today, not the guy at the Kool, like the Tammy Faye, who's,
Yeah.
what was his name?
Well,
Baker?
Baker.
Yeah.
James Baker.
James Baker. yeah.
James Baker.
James Baker? And, he was the guy, the big mega preacher. Oh, okay. So, some of
Go
these.
with Jim Jones, better off.
Yeah.
Asceticism is more
Aesthetic.
no ascetic.
Aesthetic.
Ascetic. ASCETIC, which is asceticism,
Aesthetic.
as opposed to aesthetic, which is
Chicago
beauty.
people.
Beauty, right?
Okay.
Correct,
This is
yeah.
ascetic,
Yeah.
Ascetic.
which is characterized of the practice of severe self-discipline, abstention of forms of indulgence, typically for religious reasons. That's ascetic.
So what I'm saying is, exactly,
So not necessarily that guy. I
So-
would say more the gurus or something.
no, so I'm saying, look at today.
Yeah.
You have people in the outside world, who are looked at as people who are very disciplined, who are looked at as honorable people, disciplined people, and people look to them for guidance. You have other people who come off as hucksters, and these people who are live very lavish lifestyles.
Demagogues. Demagogues. They have
Demagogue.
This, they have this.
But leaders.
Leaders, demagoguery, demagoguery.
Orators.
Yeah.
Charismatic orators.
Demagoguery. I can't think of another word. That's
So I'm saying it doesn't mean, and then and right away, like a lot of people are very suspicious of that. So it could be that the prophets at that time were not these loudmouth, charismatic people. It could be that they were also people
Put all
who
Roberts
lived
in
some
that
kind of
category,
more
you know.
austere life.
somebody
style.
By appealing prejudices.
Would you put Oral Roberts in that category?
Yeah, I mean,
I was
don't
gonna
really-
say-
I don't know enough about Oral
I was going to
Roberts.
give an example of Gandhi, but
Okay.
then not a month or two ago, I heard like all the other side of him, the negatives. So I don't know
What
how
shrewd politician?
I don't know how well known it is. I don't know how true it is, whatever. But I heard this
A
whole
leader
other side that he
champion
did
of
this,
common
and this.
people, false claims, promises to gain power.
Billy Graham.
Yeah.
So it was very
Yeah, I
difficult.
mean,
My point is,
I know.
it was very difficult. It wasn't like, oh yeah, this guy's obviously man of God, and this guy obviously isn't.
Right.
It could be that it was difficult to tell the difference.
When we were debating, finally we came up with one. Elmer Gantry. There was a very, very famous.
What's Elmer Gantry?
Elmer Gantry.
I know Elmer Fudd.
Now, Elmer Gantry.
thinking
There was.
about-
There
It's
was a-
related. Both
there
are
was-
Elmers,
There was
yeah.
a famous movie
Movie.
about Elmer Gantry, who was this great huckster and religious huckster, and he had these tents and brought all these people in, but he was.
A fraud.
A fraud. I don't remember.
Is
There
that-
was a famous movie.
Is it an
Elmer-
actual story?
Yeah.
Based on a true story?
Yeah. It's based
Okay.
based on something. Elmer Gantry. I don't know. But I remember that the movie was.
And maybe I should write a book called Life Doesn't Change. Life Doesn't Change.
Here, 60s film. Elmer Gantry. Hedonistic but charming con man, Elmer Gantry, Burt Lancaster.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Gene Simmons, roadside revivalist, feigns piousness to join or act as passionate preacher, to make successful onstage pair, chemistry would stand, blah, blah, blah.
so what year was he? The real Elmer Gantry, or was just this is a fiction in a movie?
I don't know.
This is based on true.
It's based on a 27 novel by Sinclair Lewis. So it was based
Oh.
on Sinclair Lewis's
Oh,
book.
and Sinclair Lewis is?
He's a writer, a
As an
novelist.
author.
No, keep going.
Is he Jewish?
No.
Okay, we'll find out, but before the end of the class, we'll get a little bit of background information. on Sinclair
I'm not really
confused
sure,
with
but
those,
Sinclair Lewis wrote the book.
So it's a
Okay.
fiction.
So anyways, my
Fiction.
point is that
Babbitt.
these books of the prophets are very, very stark, harsh, graphic. As far as like the it's very, very serious stuff. It would shock people to
my
read.
question is, what they're proposing, has it happened? Is there any way to know that it has happened? Will it happen? It's just
It's
in general.
very hard to tell. Some of it's easy to tell, some of it's hard to tell. Certainly, we could say that it happened
So like
by
Gog and
when the first
Magog-
space something dish was destroyed.
So Gog and Magog happened already, or will happen? No, we don't know. Okay.
Hopefully,
Uh-huh.
could be. Could be that it happened. Other stuff, especially when looking for Daniel, is very difficult. They actually give dates. They give times. Very, very complicated. Very difficult to understand.
Okay.
Very cryptic. All right. So where did we get?
I think.
Ten.
We are on Malchus.
Malchus.
Malchus. Malchus, that is
Oh, there you
Nukva,
go.
includes the 5 scrolls, and its 2 arms comprise the 5 states of Chesed and the 5 states of Gevurah as follows. The 5 scrolls are Esther, Song of Songs, Lamentations, Ecclesiastes, and Ruth. The 5 states of Chesed are the 5 books of Psalms, and the 5 states of Gevurah are Proverbs, Job, Daniel, corresponding respectively to Chesed, Gevurah, and Tiferes, Ezra and Nehemiah corresponding to Netzach, and Chronicles to Hod. The book of Psalms is traditionally subdivided into 5 sub-books.
Okay.
Okay,
Regarding the
what's
form.
next?
Regarding
Jim,
the
on
Jim,
continue.
okay.
The forms of the letters, and to what extent there's a difference between the ways Ashkenazim and Sephardim write them. My master, the Arizal, used to say that they allude to spiritual configurations above, for the forms of the letters change to various representations of these spiritual configurations. This is particularly true regarding the form of the letter Aleph. The upper yud of the Aleph is written according to the seraphim like a Zion.
Sephardim.
Sephardim, yeah, Zionim. I merged them. Sephardim like a Zion.
It was a rough day.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of Zion, whatever. The Aleph is conceived of as being formed of a long diagonal vav with a yud above and below it. If the stroke of the yud is extended to the right, beyond the stem connecting it to the vav, it appears like a Zion.
You probably know that the letters for the Tefillin, Mezuzah, Torah have to be done in a precise way. There are a number of different traditions of how to form the letters. I guess there are many ways you can make an aleph, that little thing on top. According to the different forms of writing, Sephardim, Ashkenaz, and others, then what shape does that little thing have to have?
He said
Okay.
that all of this is alluded to in Tikkuni Zohar. Some people are reluctant to fulfill the commandment to personally write Torah scroll for 2 reasons. They first don't know how to write like a scribe, and they think that the commandment is to write with their own hand. Learning to write Torah scrolls according to Jewish law is complicated, requires knowledge of the laws, the conventions, the traditions to be followed, and artistic skill. However, the commandment may be filled by proxy, which is what we do here, usually fulfilled nowadays by either commissioning a scribe to write a scroll, for those who can afford, or participating in the cost of writing one. Also, owning printed copies of Torah and commentaries for personal study is considered part of fulfilling this commandment. The second is there's no longer in our times people who are well-versed in which words are to be spelled fully and which defectively, or which paragraphs are left to be open or closed, as mentioned already in the Talmud. So, many words in Hebrew can be either spelled fully, using all the letters required by rules of grammar and precedent, or defectively, leaving some or all of the vowel letters out. Vowel letters are used to indicate vowels, such as vav and yud, and these vowels can indeed be indicated by vowel points.
I happened to look up tonight the word letotafos, like we say in the Shema. And one place it has tes, vav, tes, and the other place it has just tes, without the vav. And it's very common to have the same word in different places will be spelled
spelling.
with the vav or without the vav, with the yud, without the yud.
There are differing traditions regarding which paragraphs in the Torah are followed by a space extending to the end of the line of the paragraph, extending to the end of the line the paragraph ends on. A little wordy, but whatever. This is called an open paragraph, and which are followed by a space only equal to the width of 9 letters, which is called a closed paragraph.
So in the Torah there is no punctuation except for one thing: paragraphs. That's it. And if a paragraph begins at the beginning of the line, that's called an open paragraph. If the beginning of the line is the end of the old paragraph, there's a space, and then the new paragraph starts on the same line, that's called a closed paragraph. That has to be done properly. If you get that wrong, then the Torah is simply not good.
It invalidates.
Invalidates the whole Torah. And there are,
Now, what if someone starts writing it, catches it, then they can scratch it off and redo it?
here's the thing. In Torah sorry, not Torah. Tefillin and mezuzahs have to be written in order. So for tefillin and mezuzah, if you make a mistake, you may be able, it might not be cost effective, but you would have to erase what you've written up till the mistake and then rewrite it correctly.
We can't just erase the mistake?
Yeah, you have to you have to erase from the end, going back to where the mistake is.
Right. I'm saying if they write it and catch the mistake
Just-
right away, then they can just scratch it out.
Here's the thing. Probably. So the mezuzah and tefillin have to be written in order. So you can erase from the end, going back up to the mistake, and then rewrite everything.
Okay,
However, you're not allowed to erase the name of Hashem.
right.
So if you've done that,
You got a problem.
you right. Torahs do not have to be written in order.
No, you can do whichever sections.
Because they're parchment.
What?
The parchment can be,
Torah does not have to be written in order.
Right, they're in
So-
sections.
Yes, they're
It's like
sectional, and you can
part,
write
the
one
various
section.
parchments.
That's why.
Yeah, but let's say you find that a word is missing somewhere in the middle of the Torah.
Yeah,
It's okay just to, let's say, erase that line and rewrite it with squeezing in the letter, the letter of the word.
Oh,
okay, you don't have to
So
replace
with
the
short
parchment.
parchment.
You don't have to if you can do this. We've had mistakes. I caught a mistake here once like that. I've caught mistakes, a letter missing or the wrong letter, either from here or from other places. And they and so it's okay. A Torah does not have to be written in order, so you can fill that in. You still can't erase Hashem's name, but it's not necessary to erase everything going all the way back. We do have a Torah here that has about 3 lines erased, and that is, if I remember correctly, because they mixed up the beginning of the paragraph. It's supposed to be a closed paragraph. They made it an open paragraph, or the other way. So they erased a bunch of lines, and then they rewrote it. Problem is that they erased, and in that they erased Hashem's name, whoever wrote it. So we asked, spoke to a Rav, and we asked a Shaila or maybe through the scribe, through the sofer. We said it's obvious that the scribe erased Hashem's name here. Does that invalidate the Torah? They said no. The Torah is a kosher Torah. So we do have that here.
So, but,
So and in any case, the Rambam, who lived in the 1100s, born about 850, 900 years ago, the Rambam he writes specifically in his book, he goes through the entire Torah, and he writes exactly which paragraph by paragraph, which one is a open paragraph, which one's a closed paragraph.
it's a lot.
And there's a few hundred paragraphs in the entire Torah, about 600. 5 books, but about 600 paragraphs. There was about 5 or 10 years ago, a Torah was discovered in the storage or in basement, in the storage room of a university library somewhere in Italy. I don't remember. Maybe a city that starts with an L. I don't know if you guys remember. Someone was going through down there and happened to see the scroll, pulled it out. A scroll didn't have the wooden poles, but it did have. It was a scroll. I think an entire scroll. They went through it and they estimated that it's over 800 years old, and that because the open paragraphs and closed paragraphs were not consistent with what we follow today, so they assumed that it was written before the Rambam. Because once the Rambam wrote his book, it became pretty definitive, and everyone was able to follow that. But before that, I guess there was much confusion. So they figured that it was written before the Rambam, because this thing was not followed.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're going to talk about Rambam right now.
10:22.
But my master told the scribe, Rabbi Romi, to write a Torah scroll similar to other Torah scrolls in our country, following the instructions of Maimonides, regarding which paragraphs are to be opened or closed, and he did not concern himself with the other traditions regarding which are to be closed and opened, followed by others who are stringent about this and change things. He also instructed him to leave blank all the places where the name Chavaya occurs, for he wanted them to write them himself with his own hand, after fasting and immersing, and while having certain meditations in mind that will be explained in our discussion of Tefillin. So regarding the form of the crowns over the letters Shin, Ayin, Tet, Nun, Zayin, Gimel, Tzadik, Beit, Dalet, Kuf, Chet, Yud, Hey, he was extremely stringent. Certain letters of the Torah scroll, Tefillin and mezuzahs, are adorned with crowns, small lines in the form of the letter Zayin attached to the top of the letters. These crowns are obligatory on the letters Shin, Ayin, Tet, Nun, Zayin, Gimel, Tzad. And according to some opinions, their absence invalidates a Torah scroll from use. It is customary to make smaller crowns on the letters Beit, Dalet, Kuf, Chet, Yud, Hey. These crowns must have the form of the letter Zayin, and they must be centered on the top of the letter, not to the right or to the left. Now, the mystical significance of why there are crowns on specifically these letters is explained in the gate of cantillation marks, vowels, crowns, and letters, and in the gate of the vowels. This is the end of this passage, following from the gate of the vowels. Okay, and this, I guess we're going to...
Which is Eitz Chaim. Eitz Chaim, one of the works
Chaim,
of...
and I think we're going to do some of that here. We're going to do some of it.
Okay, Gershom, want to continue?
Regarding
10:23.
regarding the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet used in the Torah, 7 of them indicate the vessels of the 7 kings of Edom, and 15 of them indicate the vessels of Abba and Ima. Although we are at this point talking about the breaking of the vessels, which occur in the world of Tohu, before the development of the Partsufin of the world of Atzilus, the names of these Partsufin are nonetheless used to refer to the aspects of the Tohu from which they will develop. This is because Abba and Ima are greater than all the Zerampin and Nukba. Therefore, Abba and Ima's vessels are alluded to by 15 letters, while Zerampin and Nukba are alluded to by only 7 letters. The indication that Abba and Ima take 15 letters is that the fact that they are alluded to by the letters Yud Hey of the name Havaya, whose numerical value is 15. The letters indicate that the vessels of Zerampin are Shin, Ayin, Tet, Nun, Zayin, Gimel, Tzadik. Of the 15 remaining letters of the alphabet that indicate the vessels of Abba and Ima, 6 of them indicate the back of these vessels, and they are Beis, Dalet, Kuf, Hes, Yud, Hey, as is mentioned in the Zohar. The remaining letters, Aleph, Vav, Kaf, Lamet, Mem, Samech, Pei, Resh, Tav, indicate the front or inner dimension of these vessels.
Is everyone following this?
15 and 7, yeah, something like that. This is the reason why the letters Shin, Ayin, Tet, Nun, Zayin, Gimel, Zadik require 3 crowns each. So that's 21. While the letters Beis, Dalet, Kuf, Het, Yud, Hey require 1 crown each, and also why these remaining 9 letters are different from the other letters, requiring no crown at all. Okay. Which is the reason that they require 3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They require 3 each.
Right.
While 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 require 1. and the 9 require none.
Right.
This is
21. Okay, let's continue.
The
The,
next-
the
slow,
letters,
slow.
the letters Shin, Ayin, Tet, Nun, Zayin, Gimel, Sadik allude to the 7 kings of Edom that died, and from these kings the forces of evil were created and issued, as is known. These letters can be combined to form the word Satan as gates.
Meaning,
Meaning the strength and mighty power of the insolent as states of judgment, which descended and became Satan. That means the forces of evil. And it is known that the Zohar states that these 7 kings were like sparks that were scattered, like a blacksmith who hits iron and sparks fly in all directions. This is the allusion to the word gates, spark, as is in the words of the Talmud, a spark gates that flies out from under the hammer.
Hold on. 4, Shabbat 21b. Okay, so typically when we talk about these 7 letters, they are commonly called Shatnez gates or gats. Shatnez is
from Shin, Ayin,
Detritus?
Huh?
No, what's that shortness? The
wool and linen.
Ted, Nun, Zion, but it's Shatnez.
Yeah, so it's popularly called Shatnez gets. This is a
In
an
Gimel
acronym.
Sadik.
yeah, this is well
It's an
known.
acronym.
It's an acronym.
Here he cuts the word Shatnez into 2 words, Satan and Az.
Az gates.
Satan, Satan. Az is bold. What does he translate here?
Insolent, he calls it.
Insolent. Chutzpah, bold.
disrespectful.
Gates is spark.
And Getz
Gates
is a
is
spark, obscure, but it is.
Right.
Okay,
All right.
all right. 1024.
We have explained previously, correct, that the 7 kings took their light from the body of Adam Kadmon under the tuft of the beard, but not higher than this. Adam Kadmon, primordial man, is the first divine emanation after the initial Tzimtzum. The Sephiros issue from his various body parts. It follows that they lack the 3 highest lights, that means those of Adam Kadmon's ears, nose, and mouth.
What?
They
Ears.
yeah,
ears, nose,
they're
and
lacking
mouth.
the 3 highest
Bottom.
lights,
Oh my gosh.
so they have 7. Yeah, they're okay. Ears, nose, and mouth. This is why both their frontal and back aspects broke. These missing lights are indicated by the 3 crowns affixed atop these letters. For the crowns allude to the withdrawal of the light and life force from the vessels, which are alluded to by the letters themselves. The light remaining above them instead of within them, as depicted by the placement of the crowns above the letters. In contrast, the letters Beis, Dalet, Kuf, He, Yud, He, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, allude to the backs of Abba and Ima, which descended rather than broke. Here the point is that the vessels of the 7 lower Sephiros of Tohu broke because they lacked the stabilizing influence of the intellect, while the 3 upper Sephiros of Tohu, its intellect, did not break, since intellect is inherently more stable than the volatile emotions. Instead, only their backs, or external aspects, fell. Of the top ones, okay. We have explained that Abba and Ima are formed from the 2 lights of the nose and mouth of Adam Kadmon, and thus lack only the light of the ear, or nose and mouth, but no ear. Therefore, when the vessels of Tohu broke, only their backs fell. To allude to the 1 light they lack, that means that of the ear of Adam Kadmon, we affix a single crown on each of these letters.
Didn't know that. Amazing. We're already up to Hazino next.
Yeah.
Oh. A little deep there. Beyond me.
So,
Yeah, so.
no, because we saw the 7 kings before, long
Many
time
times.
ago. And now we know a little more.
Those are the letters Shatnez Gats.
Yes. Shatnez Gats.
Azgats.
Satan
Gates.
Az.
Satan has Gats. Gats
Az
gates.
gates.
So, So throughout the Torah, those crowns
Yes.
are there. So the cantillation you
Satan,
get from
Yisrael,
some
and
other
Spar.
symbols. Are there symbols in there that?
There's no symbols in the Torah. The crowns, there's no
Oh,
symbols.
okay.
There's
No
nothing-
cantillation
No
sounds.
cantillations in the Torah.
Just that's from transmission of knowledge or training.
It's in the Chumash.
Okay,
The cantillation
that's
symbols
why you read before.
are in the
you
Chumash, called trop.
drop there.
Trope.
Not like what all the woke people use today, the trope. You ever heard, it's like a real, they love to say that.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what it is? They love to
Does it
say.
mean the color?
What?
There's a
Trope.
color? I don't know. Is that what it
What's trope?
is? Trope, a color?
No.
That's taupe.
That's taupe.
Oh, well, I don't know what
That's
trope.
No, no,
Trope.
trope, I looked it up.
I don't
It's-
know.
It's something that the
Woke
woke
peop-
people love to complain about.
I
If you have
don't-
a,
I have no idea. Okay.
okay, I'll look it up here, hold on.
Trope.
Yeah, we're done. Thank you very much for watching.